Good morning, actually afternoon. Rod Fleming here, sunny afternoon in France. Talking about transgender again. I want to say thank you again for all the people who are supporting this series of short programmes. I do hope it helps. I'm only really sharing with you the things I've learned over many years of research into this. And yeah, I hope it helps. Thanks for your support. Anyway, I've been asked by a person, a YouTube person, who goes by the name of Naughty Eagle, to talk a little bit about bisexualism in transsexuals. Right, well, to start with that, you already know there are two distinct etiologies for male to feminine transsexualism: HSTS and autogynephilic. HSTS, that's homosexual transsexuals, are never, ever bisexual. They're purely homosexual. It's very intense with them, and you can really just leave that group aside for the moment. So the people we're talking about are actually autogynephilic, which, if you recall, means that they are, the original Blanchard definition means that they were they had the propensity to be sexually aroused at the thought or image of themselves as women. And we can put that another way, which is that they are intensely in love with the idea of themselves as women, which many people prefer. But remember, it's a sexual love, so the two statements really mean the same thing. Now, how do we explain this issue of bisexualism? Well, Blanchard called it pseudo-bisexualism. All AGPs are gynephilic, right? They're all attracted to women. You have to be gynephilic in order to be autogynephilic, right? That's the basic grounding here. But as their condition develops, some autogynephiles become fascinated with the idea of having sex as a woman. That is, having sex with men as a woman, and particularly being penetrated. It's a really big thing for them. So they may decide to look out for, pursue, and if they can, share sex with male partners. Blanchard said, and he's right, that when you look at an HSTS, she responds to a man exactly the same way as a heterosexual woman does. It's slightly modified because there's usually still some testosterone going on there. But essentially the underlying method and the feel and the way that they are, it's just the same as a woman, but just a little bit more so. I've said it before, girls on steroids. It's more in your face than you would normally expect with a natal woman, but hey, you know, it's all in a range. There are some very sexy natal women out there too. AGPs, pseudo-bisexual AGPs, it's not the same. They don't have that desire for, you know, male bodies in the way that HSTS do. They have a desire to have sex as a woman, right? Because that's confirming for their inner understanding of themselves as women. Okay, so that's what they're getting off on. It's a very much inside their own heads. Remember that the etiology of autogynephilia is such that at some stage, usually just after puberty, the male subject develops a second personality, right? Which is the personality that he will eventually fall in love with. Right? And this is a woman. It's created as a woman. It thinks it's a woman. In fact, it bloody knows it's a woman. And that's why you get the narcissistic rage responses that I've talked about before. If you challenge this, then you have a problem. That personality is absolutely certain it's a woman, and in a way it's right, you know, because it was created to be a woman, to be the feminine object of the subject's sexual desire. It's just that it's inside his head. You know, that's the whole point of autogynephilia. If you don't understand the ETLE, that is the erotic target location error, that the subject's erotic target is located inside his own head, then you don't understand AGP. You cannot have autogynephilia, or the non-existent female equivalent, which would be autoandrophilia, if you don't have erotic target location error first. Right? Without ETLE, there is no autogynephilia. It's something else, right? And that's why there isn't the female equivalent, because women, maybe a tiny, 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 vanishingly small number of women get ETLEs, but it's unbelievably rare. So it's really not an issue there. So this second character, right, is absolutely convinced that it's female. And so if that character relates with men, it will relate with men as it thinks a woman would, right? And the fact is that there are huge cultural differences between the way that AGPs present across the globe. If you meet an AGP from an area where she has transitioned young and she has been conditioned by the society around her to be pseudo-bisexual and to seek sexual reward with men, then she can be an excellent partner for a man. I mean, she can really be good. Trust me, they are, you know, they can be. I'm not saying they all are, but they can be. So this is the kind of person you're talking about here. Such that sometimes, if it's, you know, if she's not quite so strong as that, if she doesn't want to always be with men and is happy to indulge her gynephilia, then sometimes she will date women. Sometimes she'll date men. You often see in the Philippines, for example, and certainly in Thailand also, you'll see autogynephilic trans women, and they're always surrounded by gorgeous women. Right? Always. It could be other trans, but frequently natal women. Now, they might not be having a specific sexual relationship with these women, and some of these cultures are quite conservative, and that would be considered shocking, you know. But they're getting sexual reward just from proximity, you know, from socialization with the women, from being accepted as one of the girls, is a big specific sexual turn-on for them. So these girls will probably date men, but, you know, actually, most Saturday nights when they go out, they'll be going out with the girls. They might not end up in bed with them. Well, they might. You don't know. It's possible they would. They might end up sleeping in the same bed but not having sex. They might have sex. You know, there's a tremendous scope for potential differences here. All I'm saying is that they have these two understandings of themselves are the function of this dual personality that they have. You know, when an autogynephilic trans woman who retains her penis has sex with a woman, that is, she penetrates her, she turns into a man. I'm sorry, you do. When she has sex with a man and allows him to penetrate her, she turns into a woman. Don Kulik, in his excellent book Travesti, which you really should read if you're interested in this, we'll talk about we'll talk about him again, but one of the chapters in that book he calls The Power of Sexual Transformation. And this is what he's talking about. This ability, because most of the girls he was talking were actually autogynephilic. This is the power of completion. You know, I talked about it a bit in a book I wrote called The Warm Pink Jelly Express String. And it's the idea that for the autogynephilic character, when she's taken by a man, when a man has sex with her like that and takes her as a woman, you know, penetrates her, tells her how much he loves her, you know, does all that stuff that we do, she's completed, she's made, she is actually turned into a woman. Do you see that? You know, it's an incredible power. If she has sex with a woman herself, she'll almost certainly penetrate, and in this, she just turns back into a man inside her head. The male character is still in there, you know, and so he comes out and says, "Okay, I'm in charge now. Let's go for it." So the bisexualism is not really the same kind of bisexualism as I talked about the other day when I was talking about gyneundomorphophilic men. I still can't say it, GAMPs, or in which it's a kind of you know, GAMPs get that kind of bisexual pleasure, the attraction to both the feminine boobs and face, the teeth, the smile, the pretty eyes and the smooth skin, and there's a cock there, wonderful. That's a big hit because it hits the two, you know, attractors at the same time. And there's the other kind of more conventional bisexualism in which it's, you know, John today, Joan tomorrow, Frank today, Francis tomorrow. It's a serial form. The pseudo-bisexual form isn't really like that. In that, the seriality, if you like, I don't know if that's a word, but never mind. the serial nature of the condition is not to do with the partner, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to sleep with John today and Joan tomorrow. It's to do inside your head. So it's like, John is going to sleep with Joan tomorrow. That's John inside the head. Sorry, John is going to sleep with Joan today. That's the John inside the head making love to a woman called Joan. But Joan, that is the pseudo-bisexual autogynephilic character inside the head, will have sex with John tomorrow by allowing John to penetrate her. Right? So the bisexual switch is not happening out there. It's not like a question of, okay, fine, I will choose a different partner to whom I'm attracted. It's the real switch is inside the head.